So I was asked by a good friend of mine about speaking. And for a long time, I coached beginners on how to get into the speaking business. And I was doing that for a while. I ran 52 consecutive webinars and was putting people into a program that I had that I no longer have anymore. And one of my friends was just asking me about it the other day. And he said this, and this is inspired by him. So shout out to Geo. He said if you were to start all over with speaking, what would you do? Like what's the one or two things that you would do? And so that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So if you're somebody that you want to get paid to speak, you want to get paid consulting contracts, you want to, even if you a course, a program, or whatever, if you want to sell something to human beings, whether it be B2B, whether it be B2C, then this is going to be the video for you. I'm going to use speaking because that's my experience. That's where I made the bulk of my money starting out, and that's where I leverage a lot of opportunities from. So I'm going to share my screen in a second, and kind of let you see some things that I would do different. And if you're somebody, if you're thinking and you're like, Odell, why don't you coach anymore? I don't coach anymore because um, most of the people that I was coaching, they were at a place that I didn't want to just reach back to them anymore. So I still teach, and what I tell people is the difference between teaching and coaching is kind of like the difference between consulting and coaching a little bit. When you're coaching, you're with somebody and you're bringing them along, and you are at least sharing some of the burden of expectation. And I just don't want to do that. I don't want to coach somebody and then after 6 months, after a year or whatnot, they're looking at me like, well, this didn't work, sir. And I was just attracting too many of those people. So I don't coach anymore. I do teach. As I'm about to teach, I do consult. So if you have a business already, if you are doing some speaking already, you want to elevate, I can help you do that. But this video is going to be specifically what I would have done differently, or what I would do differently if I was starting my speaking business. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And there are two things that people misunderstand about getting paid to speak. I want to reveal those right now. First and foremost, there's no such thing as a speaking business. All right. There's no such thing as a speaking business. Write that down. I've said that in interviews, I've said that all over. There's no such thing as the speaking business. There is only the event business. There is only the event business. There is only the event business. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when a lot of people get into it, no matter what level you're at, you could be the founder of a startup that's doing really well. You could be a CEO of a small to mid company. You could be a VP. You could be a C-suite executive. You could be at the top of your profession or your career. When you look at all of this stuff, like this is the thing. There's only the event business. And people that plan events sometimes hire speakers. And so that fundamental thing that I didn't understand when I first started, that most people don't understand, when you understand it, then I don't need to target speeches. I need to target event planners that use speakers. I know that's deep. We'll get into the next thing. Everybody is in the business of obtaining customers and clients. So these things that I did not get, if you're looking to get paid, that means you're in business. If you're looking to get paid, that means that you are in sales. You have to know that. and that I didn't really understand those things. So I would have understood those. I would have gotten to know those things. But let's move on to this. Here's the punchline. And here's the big thing before I go to the next thing. Don't focus on speaking. Focus on finding the people that plan events that use speakers. Don't focus on speaking. So many people, they're insecure about their public speaking. They say too many uhs or ahs. They pace too much. They use their hands too much or not enough. They don't have cool visuals in the background, and they think about all those things. But we've all seen people that have spoken on stages that weren't great, but they got paid. And as good as you think you are today, tomorrow, if you work on it, you're going to be a little better. In a year, you're going to be a little better. You stand in front of a camera long enough, you're going to get a little better. So don't focus on the speaking. That's what everybody else teaches you, though. That's what everybody else focuses on. Get great on stage. Cool. What next? Then you got to go into a whole different thing. Focus on the people. So the first thing that people misunderstand is that there's no such thing as a speaking business. Here's another one. And I'm not even getting into the two things I would have done different yet. These are just the first two things that people misunderstand. Here's the second thing. You literally get paid for who you are. Literally. You get paid for who you are. So hard for people to get. If two people have equal knowledge about an expertise, the person that you are the most familiar with, or the person that the event planner is most familiar with, that's the one that's going to win the contract. I'm going to say that again because I don't think I said that the best way. If two people know the same stuff, they have the same resume, they appear to be the same on paper, the person that's going to win the contract is the person that's most familiar with the person that is planning the event. You get paid for who you are. How you're positioned is more powerful and more important than how you perform. I'm going to say that again because it's that good. How you're positioned is much more powerful, much more profitable, much more important than how you perform. There's a lot of great performers out there. And you can use any genre of entertainment. You can use any business industry. There are a whole lot of people, they know so much stuff. There's smart people. I know geniuses personally that don't make much money. Why? Because they're not positioned well. How you're positioned is more powerful than how you perform. You literally get paid for who you are. So when somebody looks you up, what do they see? What do they see? When somebody brings you up in their mind, what comes up? Work on your positioning more than you work on your performing. And here's the punchline to that. Create the type of content that positions you as the choice for your clients. What type of content is that, Odell? We're about to get to that in a second. But does that make sense? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? There's no such thing as a speaking business. Understand, this is the event business. Target events. Target groups that plan events, that use speakers. Do that first. Before you go to Toastmasters, before you go to anything else, before you get whoever's program is going to teach you how to articulate and postulate and bloviate on stage, find out where the money is first. Okay. So I just wanted to get that out the way. Now, two things that I would have done differently. So I started speaking when I was 22 years young. I got my first paid speaking engagement 2 weeks after my 23rd birthday. 2008, February 18th, 2008. I didn't know none of this stuff. I knew nothing. And I think YouTube was around, but we didn't have the flow of information that we have now. There wasn't a guru on every scroll because there was no scroll. So there was a lot that I did not know. All I knew is that people paid people to talk. And I like to talk, and I wanted to be one of those people. Sound familiar? I got a story to tell. I got a message. People getting paid. I want to get paid too. That was it. Cool. If somehow, some way, there was a hot tub time machine, a DeLorean, something that I could go back in time, these are the two things that I would do. Here's a foundational quote for you. In business, it is better to be an investigative reporter than it is to be a starving artist. Most people get into business as starving artists. Please pick me, please, please, please. Would you pick me? Please, please. Would you pick me? Please, please. I need the money, but I need to make an impact. But I need. That's what people hear. Oh, this is for you. Yeah, that's why most people early on it doesn't work. That's how it was for me. I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know, I'm telling you what I've experienced, I'm telling you what I've experienced with hundreds of other people that I work with to help them get into this business. So, how do we go from I need to let me help you. How do we go from unknown to overbooked? How do we do it? And in all the years I've been doing this, it took me a long time to figure it out. That's why I'm hoping that you'll take this content, that you'll use this content for good. Use it for good. Because what I'm about to reveal to you, I've been sharing for years, but I've never focused on it until I stepped back and said, less is more. Like, what do I need to do? All right. So I would do two things. They're interconnected, but I would do two things. The first thing I would do is start my own media outlet. That's what I would do. Specifically, and I could have done it back then, but I didn't know, you know, the landscape. I had a video camera, but I didn't know certain things. But I would start my own media outlet. What do I mean by that? So I would create a podcast, a YouTube channel, a book, a LinkedIn page, a link, something where I interview people that could hire me for speaking engagements and consulting contracts and whatever else I wanted to get paid for. For years, I call this the interview method. Create a podcast, take the time. It does not take that long. That's what I help my clients do now. I help them create their own media outlets. Because here's what the truth is. The social media devices, the cameras that we have, the laptops, all the devices, all this stuff, it's created opportunities for us to be our own media. What we have failed to do is leverage that in a way that positions us as an expert. So if you think about two very famous people, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah was a journalist that got her own talk show that interviewed people. Larry King. Larry King worked in radio. Then he got his own show where he interviewed people. So they got famous interviewing people. Journalists that are on TV every single day, they interview people. They interview people. They interview people. So imagine if you started your own YouTube channel, not just you talking about you, but you want to work with executive directors for assisted living associations. I'm just making something up. And you started a podcast specifically for them. And you reached out to them and said, hey, I'm starting a podcast. I want to provide a resource, free resource for executive directors at assisted living facilities to help them, blah, 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 blah. You reach out to 50 of those people. If you get in touch with 50 of them, half of them will say, yeah, I'll do it. But if you reached out to those same 50 people and said, hey, I need to come speak to your audience. I need, you wouldn't get 25 people. But you start a media outlet. You ask them questions. And see, here's the really good part. The goal is to have conversations with the people that could pay you. Because in business, if you want to make money, you need to have conversations. During these interviews, ask them questions about their job. Let your outlet, whatever that media outlet becomes, a YouTube channel, podcast, whatever, let that be a resource to people like them. So if you're interviewing executive directors for assisted living facilities, assisted living associations, they're going to pass it along. And then how are you positioned now? Follow up with them and then ask them to work with you. Because at this point, if you interview somebody for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, you're asking them about themselves. You're asking them about their job. You're asking them to brag on themselves. You're asking them about what they know about. Unless you're just an evil human, they're going to like you because you're asking them about stuff that most people won't ever ask them about. If I spend 15, 20 minutes talking to you about everything that you know, everything that you like, everything that's your life, for that moment, you're going to be like, wow, this guy's pretty cool. So when you do that, when you start your own media outlet, this works for you and this will work for me for these reasons. It positions you as an expert fast. If you interview 20 people in a month and you share those interviews, where did this person come from? Who is this person? Versus if you just reach out as a cold person, nobody knows who you are. Also, when you interview people and you ask them to be interviewed, you're humbling yourself. When you reach out to people and you ask them, hey, would you hire me? Would you hire me? You're not really being humble. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you're not being humble. And so if they don't know you and you don't have any social proof that you have been doing this for a long time, you don't have anybody to co-sign, you don't have any testimonials, this is the next best thing. Super easy. Also, it builds know, like, and trust fast. We know this. We've heard this. People do business with those they know, like, and trust, right? Know, like, trust. Nothing is faster than an interview. And then most people are asking for sales, not asking to serve. So you're separating yourself. So that's what I would have done differently. I would have started off, I knew I wanted to speak at colleges. I would have found out the people that hired speakers at colleges, and I just would have set up interviews with them. Just set up interviews like, hey, can we talk? I'm sharing this as a book. I'm sharing this as something. Here's the second thing that I would have done. So the first thing is easy, especially now, super easy with Zoom, with LinkedIn, it's super easy. This one's a little bit more difficult and requires a little bit more work, but I ain't have nothing but time at that time. And I don't know what you have, but we'll go through this. So after a number of interviews, you should know by now where your ideal client goes to get their professional development, what social media they show up on, and what magazines they read, if they read magazines, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't have an expertise that will impress them, all you got to do is show up on these outlets and share what you're doing. Share how you're interviewing. Share how you want to get more voices. All you got to do. Odell, I'm brand new. I don't. Okay, be brand new, but position yourself as the expert. When journalists reach out, and I know journalists, I have friends that are journalists. When they reach out, they're reaching out. Hi, I work at blah 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 place. I'm looking to do a story on this. Is this okay? Yeah, I would love to be featured. I would love to have. Usually, you do the same thing. Like, hey, what's up? I'm Odell. First time here. Yep. I run a YouTube channel about blah, 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 blah. Would love to interview you all, et cetera, et cetera. That's it. If you do have an expertise, like somebody like me now, I have videos, I have pictures, I have all this stuff. All I got to do is show up and share the expertise. So I'll give you an example, a real-time example right now in this video. I'm sharing this video on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube right now. Later today, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and share some different content about a new book I have coming out. Why would you do that? Because the client that I want to attract on LinkedIn is different than the client that I want to attract on the other outlets. You see where I'm going with this? So you show up with your expertise places where you know that your client is going to be if you have it. So those are the two things that I would do different. I would start my own media outlet and interview my ideal client using the interview method. And then I would get interviewed by different outlets or show up on different outlets that my clients pay attention to. Hopefully this was helpful. I want to just share this with you all. Now people are wondering how they can work with me. What does that look like? Because when somebody says I don't coach speakers anymore, when I say speakers, I don't mean a function. I mean a mindset. Most people are artists. They have an artist mindset. They have a performer's mindset where, oh, all you got to do is show me this and do this. They don't want to talk business. They don't want to do all of that. So that's cool. I've just shifted from coaching to just providing services. So I can create all the stuff we just talked about. I can create that type of content for you. That's one way we can work together. I can set up a podcast for you, and I can even get you your first few interviews. I can train you on how to interview and be interviewed. My team can also post your content online. We can also edit the content you already have. And for a retainer, we can do it on a monthly basis. So that's how I can help you. If you're interested in doing that, click the button around this video if there is one. If there's not one, all you have to do is shoot me a message and we can have a conversation and talk about it more. But hopefully this helped you. And either way, we'll see you at the top, not from the top. Take care.